Dear listener, this is not an ad, it's just a humble request from me personally. This November, I'm running the New York City Marathon with Soccer Without Borders, and I'm trying to raise $8,000 for the organization. Running the New York City Marathon has been a lifelong dream of mine, and if you listen to this show, you also know soccer is basically a lifelong obsession. Between me and Father Saul talking Champions League totally unnecessarily every other episode, and all my tortured sports metaphors, none of this should come as a surprise to you. What I love about Soccer Without Borders is that they use the game to create belonging, mentorship, confidence, and opportunity for young people, especially kids from immigrant and underserved communities, refugees a lot of the times too. It's a mission that really means a lot to me. This will also be personally my 8th marathon and very possibly my last, so I wanted to tie it to something bigger than myself. And if you're able to support even $1, $5, $10, it genuinely makes a huge difference and gets me closer to the fundraising goal. It would mean the world to me. There's a donation link in the show notes if you want to contribute. Seriously, thank you guys. All right, let's get into the episode. Today on the LA Food Podcast, an episode so carb heavy you'd be forgiven for mistaking this for the San Francisco Food Podcast, which, according to Google, leads the US for bread consumption. You learn something new every day. If you've dined out in LA, well, ever, then you've probably come across Andy Caden's bread at some point. That's because Andy is the founder and owner-operator of Bub and Grandma's. Yes, that Bub and Grandma's. Ever since they exploded on the scene roughly a decade ago, I've often wondered what's made them such an unstoppable force in LA's bread game. Why are restaurants from the Michelin-starred to the corner sandwich shop not just serving their bread, but making sure we know it's B&G's by spelling it out for us on the menu? Sure, it's amazing bread, but what's the special sauce? Turns out the special sauce is Andy. I sat down with him at Bub and Grandma's restaurant in Glassell Park on a sunny afternoon while they were getting their piano tuned, and I was truly impressed by his story, his humility, and more than anything, his near freakish ability to get obsessed with something and then invest a maniacal amount of time and effort into perfecting that thing. It's like Malcolm Gladwell's 10,000 hours supercharged on a cocktail of Celsius and crack cocaine. Inspiring if I say so myself. We talk his origin story, scaling a home operation into a wholesale bakery that supplies hundreds of restaurants in LA, opening not one, but 2 restaurants, and the unique dangers of getting into the pizza business. That's all coming up next. No part 1 today. It's all interview, no breaks, because yours truly is still gallivanting around Italia on a Vespa, probably. We'll be back next week with our regularly scheduled programming, but still a reminder that the LA Food Podcast is brought to you by the Acquired Taste Media Network, and you should be listening to our sister podcast, Taqueando with Bill Esparza. As always, I'm your host, Lucas Servodio, and without further ado, it's time to chow down. All right, guys, this is a special one for me because it's in my neck of the woods. We're seated here at Bub and Grandma's restaurant in Glassell Park with none other than Andy Caden. Andy, how you doing today?
I'm doing good, Luca. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for welcoming me into your beautiful restaurant, a place that I've waited in line at many, many times, but done so happily. Andy, icebreaker question for you. So I was just at Le Sorted's in Chinatown.
Yes. Yep.
And Tommy is the best. He's the best, but he was pointing to the bar.
Mm-hmm.
And
he
said that hardwood floor
that's right.
from the Forum came from you, but then he casually dropped that you're actually a Celtics fan? Let me ask, what is a Celtics fan doing with hardwood floor from the Forum?
Well, a couple years ago, I just opened Reddit, and at the top of the LA subreddit was a guy who said that he was working on building furniture out of the old Forum floor as contracted by the Lakers and the Sparks to build furniture for their office space from retired Forum floor. Yeah. This is I think it was 70s to late 80s.
Okay.
So so many greats played on this floor. He had a stack of 25 10-foot by 8-foot boards with, stuff from the floor, 3-point line, purple and gold.
Wow.
And he was like, if you come pick it up, you can take as many as you want. I called my actually Laker friends, buds, and grabbed one of the vans from the bakery and went and broke my finger in the process, but picked up like 5 or 6. He ended up charging us in the end, boards. And if you see my office next door, the entire office desk is one slab of Forum parquet.
Is it not triggering for you? Or?
No, I see it as I'm working on top of it. So I am holding the floor down and standing up for the Celtics while subjecting the Lakers to whatever crappy work I'm doing on top
I love
of
that.
it.
You're like reclaiming it.
Yeah, exactly. It's mine now. Yeah. And we've got our subtle D Brown in the restaurant for those who know. I feel like it's okay because it's such a universally badass dunk from
really cool.
from the dunk contest.
Yeah.
It's not screaming Celtics, but we've had a couple angry customers from time to time.
From back when the dunk contest was actually cool.
I know. Yeah. Blake Griffin ruined it jumping over a Kia. That was the end. That was it.
The beginning of the end.
Yes.
Look, we could talk basketball all day, but we're sitting in your sandwich shop.
Yeah.
Which seems fitting since I understand it was your love for sandwiches that plays a big part in how you actually started Bub and Grandma's.
Yeah, there was no design of opening a bakery at all.
Yeah.
The only reason why I started baking at home was to figure out how to make bread to talk to a potential baker about what I wanted for my sandwich shop, which was a lot less comprehensive than this place. I was thinking I would take over a Jimmy John's or something like that and work with 2 or 3 other people and just, build a bunch of sandwiches and that was it. But by the time we got to, 6-7 years into the wholesale bakery, and it had been it's a whole company on its own right now, our capabilities were so wide that we decided to do something bigger and more comprehensive here in Glassell Park, and it turned out pretty good.
Yeah, I would say so. But before you did that, you were actually in marketing.
Yeah, I worked in advertising. I was a writer. And I thought... So I went to college in Maine and studied philosophy. Super useful in the job market.
It's got to be something, right? It's like, well, now it is maybe like the way you like treat your staff.
I think so. I would do it again. It just, I don't know, unless I was learning a trade, just creating an opportunity to, be as wide ranging with my thinking as possible is huge. I would do it again. But ultimately, after I graduated, I moved to New York. I grew up in New Jersey, just outside the city. Moved back to the city that I wanted to be in for my entire life prior to that, and started working in bars and restaurants, trying to figure out what I wanted to do. Initially, it was just be a writer, trying to, be a journalist of some kind, and ended up thinking that advertising was going to be a great combination of all the things that I was interested in, music, writing, film, trying to help guide me in a direction of where I wanted. Did I want to go to film school next? Did I want to really commit to writing a novel? Did I want to write a screenplay? What did I want to do? It did not do that. And it was good. It was a great thing for me to have. And I feel like a lot of the skills that I acquired in that world are applicable here and give me a competitive advantage over other restaurants. But for me, I didn't want to sell anything for anybody anymore that wasn't my own. And I learned that by going through it. And I'm thankful for the 10 years that I had working in marketing because it allowed me to learn that about myself, and that I don't want to sell the next year's piece of shit car that is made even more cheaply than the year before. And it's twice as expensive and everyone loses. I just didn't want to be a part of that machine anymore. So I started writing for TV after that.
Okay.
I was freelancing in advertising, and then got a gig on a show and wrote on that.
You would have heard of?
It was called Gorburger. It was on Comedy Central for a season. It was, an animatronic monster talk show host who brought on guests and, standard stuff.
Sounds fantastic.
It was fun. But ultimately it was the same sort of feeling of like, I really need to do my own thing.
Yeah.
And by the time that was probably 10, 11 years after college, I was approaching 30 or a little bit after 30. Always an obsessive eater, cook, just sort of trying to digest as much as I could about the city that I lived in and the type of food that is here, which makes it one of the best cities in the world. It certainly is one of the best places to eat. It was sort of the time where I had to make the decision, if I want to do something in food, I have to do it now.
Yeah.
So I just went for it. I started working at Potato Chips Deli in Hollywood for free. They didn't pay me. Don't tell the labor board or anything. And allowed me to print out the week's take and like all the breakdown of all of their product mix and all that stuff, take it home, build a spreadsheet and start working on a business plan for a small sandwich shop.
Yeah.
Very kind people. And
clearly
that was,
they weren't afraid of you.
No, they weren't. No, and that's why I was like, I'm not coming to Hollywood. Don't worry. And ultimately, that was the beginning of the whole thing, was just sort of figuring out what the realities are of operating a restaurant in Los Angeles, what it costs, what I would need to go and make it happen.
Yeah.
And it evolved from there into, I staged with Clark Street Bread. I was working in New York for a little bit. So I worked at She-Wolf Bakery. I worked at a bunch of different places, just trying to consume as much information as possible.
Yeah.
And
did anybody try to stop you? Because like you had a good stable job.
Oh, sure. I mean, you can talk to my parents. They're happy now, but like it was a precarious choice for anybody. All of the people, like universally, all of the people who were already working in food said, don't do it.
Right.
All of them.
Yeah.
There wasn't one that was like, yeah, man, go for it. Yeah. Everyone was like, just please don't do this. I will help you if you want me to, but don't do this.
Yeah.
And I understand it wholeheartedly right now. And
That's what I love about the food community though, is because they will, no bullshit, tell you don't do it. But the moment they see that you got that crazy look in your eye,
I will help you.
They will do whatever to help you.
Yeah. I have had, especially because I'm coming at all of this green, even at 11 years in business now, and the bakery and the 2 restaurants, like I'm figuring it all out.
Yeah.
And actually this is a point in the business where I'm looking to bring in someone to help me to optimize this stuff, because I've reached we have 130 employees right now. When we open the dining room at Pizza, it'll be probably 150.
Jeez.
Like I am really happy it's gotten to the scale. I certainly don't want it to be that much larger than it is right now. Yeah. And I never intended it to be this big, but ultimately when you get larger, you have more capabilities.
Yeah.
And it makes it easier to do great things. It's not easy. It's a nightmare. But the people who know, and the people that I have now talked to 11 years into this, I tell people like, you sure you want to do this? Right. I won't say don't do it, but I will explain to them the realities of what this is like, because it's impossible to conceptualize unless you are within it.
Yeah. It's not for someone who just wants a regular job, right?
No, it's not a regular job in any way whatsoever. It's 24/7, especially when the first business is one that operates from 2:30 in the morning until 7 p.m.
Yeah.
So that's the groundwork. And then you have other businesses that are operating during the day. And now we have one that's operating at night.
Yeah.
It's 24/7. Things break constantly. You got to get out of bed at 2:30 in the morning and drive to the bakery and figure out why the oven won't turn on. And a lot of times it's just someone forgot to turn the key to turn, you never know. But that stuff is constant, and only grows in volume as you get bigger with more employees and more equipment.
And everything impacts you. Like I heard you talking about like the Ukraine and Russia war impacting your grain prices.
I mean, that is one of the more interesting things of being at the scale that we are now, especially with the bakery, because we really have to pay attention to the flow of commodities and whether their pricing is rising or falling, and what's going on in the world. And the Ukraine war, when it started, was a very clear example of, I never considered the fact that Ukraine is the breadbasket of Europe, and most of the flour that is grown in Europe is grown in that area. When it goes away, there's more grain being shipped from the US to Europe.
Yeah.
Then it becomes more expensive. And during the pandemic, our prices were already high, and then Ukraine war just shot them up significantly.
Sure. Yeah.
And then you're in the position you have to make price increases. You have to do all sorts of cutting to get around that. It just is what it is.
We'll get there. Don't worry. Okay. To zoom back to your potato chips deli days, and you leaving your stable job to your parents' dismay, what was wrong with sandwich bread? Why were you like, I got to make my own bread?
It wasn't that I needed to make my own. It's just that I wanted to speak the baker's language. Huh. So if I was going to ask a baker, and I didn't know this at the time, but they all would have said no had I asked them to make something custom for me. It's like, nobody's going to make 100 custom sub rolls for some schmuck who has no experience.
Yeah.
They just can't do that. They're making 1,000 of something else. Why would they make 100 of this just for this one guy?
Yeah.
But
the math doesn't math.
No, the math does not math. But ultimately, I just wanted to know everything that I could know. So if we were going to bring in the most important part of this business, a sandwich shop, is the bread, it needs to be exceptional on a level that I hadn't had in LA yet.
Yeah.
So that said, had there been a bakery that I say experienced at another sandwich shop around town, I was like, this is the bread, this is what I want to use, maybe I would have skipped that step, but maybe not. But I just didn't find it. So we had to make it.
I'm glad you said that, man, because I ate 100 sandwiches in 365 days a couple of years ago, including your, what is it called? The roast beef au jus.
Yeah.
Fantastic sandwich.
Thank you.
91% on the countdown.
I remember, yeah.
But I firmly believe that the bread is an undervalued part of the sandwich.
You cannot make a good, you can't start with mediocre bread and end up with a great sandwich.
Yeah.
You can end up with a good sandwich. And I think a lot of, I don't want to speak specifically, a lot of the great sandwich shops in Los Angeles have questionable bread. They are still really good sandwiches. And, you know, before this existed, I went to a lot of sandwich shops on the east side that I still go to from time to time. The bread is bad. So when the bread is 100%. Bad, you're starting with a handicap. You
Dude,
can't
as
get
an
back
Italian, nothing I hate more than the bread at a lot of these delis, man.
Yeah, I won't mention any names, but they're beloved to me. The ones over here, especially because I live over here and have been here for 16 years. Like, but I want what I want. You know?
Have you been to Mario's?
I like Mario's. Mario's was sort of what I was talking about.
I don't want to talk about the bread quality because I agree with you. Let's not.
But Mario's is the only other. There's Eagle Rock Italian Deli. There's a couple other places that I go to from time to time.
Right.
But Mario's was my regular sandwich shop before we opened this.
I love Mario's. My one question is, why did they do the middle slice of bread?
I don't know. I always ask for it without.
Me too.
Yeah.
That's crazy, right?
I think it's just sort of a tradition at this point, and I'm sure you're more than aware of this. Like LA, all major cities get extremely attached to their childhood places.
Yes.
You know, and I assume that Mario's exists and continues to exist and thrive because the people who grew up with it 35 years ago, because it's been around that long, are still want that experience of childhood. And this is sort of ties into the pizza place too. Like all of this stuff is trying to trigger the emotional responses from the things that we experience as a child that made us feel warm and safe and good and smile and all that. So some people, that's their childhood and that was their experience, and that's their best sandwich in town is Mario's, and that's great. I support that. Mine is different. I don't want that bread in the middle.
Yeah.
It's too much bread.
It's too much bread, man. Yeah. So, you know, from working at Potato Chips Deli, you then get your first business account at Dune and Atwater Village.
Yes.
And it kind of happens by mistake or by accident.
There was zero intention I had never even considered being a wholesaler. And my buddy Jed Mayhew worked at Dune on the line at that time. And I was just, you know, at that point I had moved away from sourdough and was trying to make some ciabatta at home, which was futile, but it worked out okay. And was giving it away to everybody because my freezer was just full. Yeah. And Jed brought it into Dune and they were getting ciabatta from somewhere else. And gave it to Scott, the owner, and he called me out of the blue. I was like, what is this number? And picked it up, and it was him. And he asked if I could make him 28 4x4 ciabatta rolls a day going forward. And I was just like, sure, yeah, no problem. And didn't really understand what that meant.
Yeah.
And it meant that 7 days a week, every single day, without fail, I don't even think we were closed 3 days a year at that point. We are now, but that's the most number of days that we are closed per year is 3. You just have to do the job. Yeah. And when you're one person, there's nobody else to jump in for you. So no matter what's going on in your life, no matter how late you were up the night before, no matter what's going on with your actual job. So I would come home from work 7, 8 o'clock, mix the dough that night, put it in the fridge overnight, wake up at 4, shape the dough, let it proof while having my coffee and breakfast, bake it, and then put it in a bin, carry it down the 100 steps at my house to the street, drive to Dune, drop it off, and then drive to the studio and work another full day. And it was like that 7 days a week, just over and over and over. And it hasn't stopped for 11 years.
If you're seeing me get PTSD here, it's because I do the same thing. I basically work all day. I go home, I record the podcast, I edit the podcast.
I was going to ask you if you had another job.
Yeah, it doesn't. But the difference is nobody's really waiting on it. You know what I mean? Like if you didn't deliver the bread,
there's no sandwiches.
Exactly. Yeah. Like that's why I'm getting so nervous just hearing your story. Like at least I have the flexibility of the podcast might be a couple hours late.
It's going to be okay.
Yeah.
That pressure, that also just because I'm this type of person to a fault where I care very deeply about how our products and how I can positively or negatively affect other people. I don't want to negatively affect anyone in their lives ever. Yeah. The whole point of all of this is just try and uplift, do good, make people's lives better through employment, through food, through everything that we try to touch. I couldn't leave them hanging no matter what. If I was sick, if there was, we were stuck at the studio or shooting or whatever, it was just had to be done. So there were times that like I said, I had 100 steps up from the street to my place. It was like a 101 degree day, and I fell down the steps going forward and dumped one of the 2 bins of dough that I had on. This was actually when I was baking at Town Pizza.
Full circle.
And then had to leave the dough there and just go because I had to get to work, but I also had to make the bread. Came back at the end of the day, and because it was so hot, the bin of dough had like baked on my front steps, and I had to like get down there and scrape it off the concrete. Yeah. Good. Those are the golden days. Yeah.
Golden days is one way to put it.
Yes.
What was your first account where you were like, holy shit, how am I making this bread for this person?
I mean, there were some in the beginning. I mean, first, Dune on its own was enough. But
that would have been enough for me to be like,
some of the earliest ones were like Cafe Stella. Wax Paper was great. I love working with those guys for years. Nicest people. The one that really like blew my mind, and at that point, the few employees that I had was when we started doing the bread for Nancy Silverton's restaurants.
Whoa. I knew that happened at some point.
Yeah.
How early on was it?
It was pretty early. It was probably in like year. The first 2 years were really rapid fire. So like I was working at the house and making bread for a couple months there. Then I graduated to baking at Town Pizza. I would mix the dough in my house and then bake it in the pizza oven at Town, which is now our pizza place, which is amazing.
But not ideal for bread, right?
No, terrible. It's a dry environment. And you can't really, unless you're really hacking things, create a moist environment in there because the door opens and it's just a bunch of different things. So I worked with the best I could.
Yeah.
And then I used the equipment behind Zach Hall from Clark Street at his stand at Grand Central Market. And then I bought his oven and mixer and moved to my own space. But that was about a year and a half, the first year and a half of actually doing it. This was in the second space in that communal building where we probably had 5-6 employees at that point. And when that all went down, it was just sort of like, this is real. Like we have to focus on this wholesale thing because it's becoming extraordinarily real right now. Yeah.
With that one, were you just like, Nancy, aren't you like the baker?
Yeah. I mean, this comes from a major transition where she, obviously created La Brea. La Brea grew to this incredible scale. I don't think it was what she wanted anymore. And it was time to move on from it and reset. And she reset through us, which is really fantastic for us. And also just, she's a very generous person and like always offers to, hear what's going on and all that.
Hey, we're Nancy stands on this pod. She's been on, I wouldn't call her friend of the pod, but she's my spiritual friend.
She's a very skilled operator, and has obviously done incredibly well over her career, but those places have been around for so long and are so tight and so consistent. That is so hard to do in year 20 or whatever it is. That's wild. So they're the best.
Kudos to her. When did you finally quit your job?
It was around that time. So I was still picking up freelance gigs in advertising and writing, and I was writing director treatments and doing all sorts of like little gigs here and there because the business didn't make any money for a long time. And I was just existing off of savings for probably the first 2 years of the business, which I'm glad that I had that from advertising. It's long gone now, but that was how I survived and was able to get to the other side of actually working. Once we moved into our current facility, which was 2018.
Yeah.
So that's about 3 years in. That was when it was shortly before that. And when we were starting to look for the space and commit to the space, that was when it became like my full-time situation. I mean, it was a full-time job anyway, but it wasn't 2 full-time jobs at the same time.
You weren't, having to
being pulled in
exactly,
exactly,
which is heroin, as we've established. Did you bring in investors at that point?
I did. So that was the first time we took on investment, was moving into the bakery, and very quickly realized that, it's a 6,500 square foot space. It was formerly Sweet Lady Jane, which is another kind of LA staple. When we moved in, it's 2 floors and there's no elevator between them. It's just 2 floors. So upstairs was where all the baking was happening, and downstairs was sort of an unused space. So I initially rented it to a wine distributor, and they used it for storage and sort of some of their, shipping. And I actually remember vividly, Nancy, when I told her that we were taking this space, she's like, that's too small. I was like, what? We were in 600 square feet when we moved to 6,000 square feet. And to think that was too small was like totally incomprehensible to me.
Right.
within 3 months, we were like, renter, I'm sorry, you have to go. We have to expand downstairs.
Wow.
So then we had to raise some more capital. We put in an elevator. We got another oven. We optimized the whole downstairs, got another mixer. And it's basically been in that form since then. So basically 2020. And now we are in the process of trying to find somewhere to go larger.
You're looking for 60,000 now.
Oh my God. No, see, this is the interesting philosophical part of what comes next is the typical arc for bakeries skips our step to some degree, the one we're in right now, and goes to something larger. So we're in this like middle, small, large, medium-sized wholesaler space. The next step typically would be 20,000 square feet, automation, lots of things that like make it possible to do things at a higher scale. But we don't make the products that would necessitate that. For us, I want to do more of what we're already doing, which is serving restaurants and hotels and coffee shops and smaller individual units. I don't want to make, frozen product that we're shipping across the country. I don't want to make things that, I don't want to have our stuff in Whole Foods either. Yeah. I want it to be special to people. And the way that we do that is by doing what we continue to do. That means that we can't fill 20,000 square feet with what we do. Maybe we can fill 10.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what we're philosophically trying to figure out how to do next. And it's either that we keep the space we're in now and extend our lease and do another one somewhere else that's smaller, or we consolidate and move to one larger space. But it's all hard to find, and it's all difficult to parse. There is no right answer. That's the hard part with food businesses in general as well, is there is no correct course.
Yeah.
There is just the course you choose, and then you have to navigate it efficiently, intelligently, and luckily. Luck is a big part. We're talking about pandemics, and the fires totally screwed up our catering endeavors, and all sorts of things just get in the way, and there's no recourse to repair them. You just have to figure out a way to navigate, go through.
How many restaurants are you serving right now?
Right now it's a little over 200.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it keeps growing?
It keeps we have been in some form or another at capacity for the last couple of years.
Yeah.
We've just been figuring out ways to Tetris in more and more as best we can. Our bottleneck is our literal ovens that are not big enough, but we don't have the space to add bigger ovens.
Yeah.
So now it's really about moving and finding a place to increase literally the number of loaves per bake per hour per day.
Yeah.
That's all that matters. Yeah.
My wife has a theory. So we go out to restaurants a lot, as you can imagine, and you see it all the time on menus.
Yep.
Bub and Grandma's bread, right? She has a theory that you have it in your contract that when you supply bread to a restaurant, it has to be said. My theory was just they're proud to be serving Bub and Grandma's bread.
It's the latter, I would hope, or they feel some societal pressure to put it on there. But ultimately, I think what happened was that Scott, without my prompting, I would never ask for this, decided to put the name of the business on their physical menu at Dune. And maybe that's at the Standard, or maybe it was because I was so small at the beginning, it was really hard to come by, or I could only do so much, so I had to turn people away. That there was some level of pride in being like, we got it. Yeah. Like, we got that thing that's obscure, that's not able to be produced for everybody.
Yeah.
But I've never asked a single person. First of all, we've never done marketing and sales. We don't even have contracts with our customers. And I would never ask anybody to do anything like that.
Yeah.
But I appreciate that they do. It's helpful for us. That's why we haven't had to do any marketing or have a salesperson. That's probably going to have to change if we get into a much bigger space. But, I'm very thankful for that. And that's all to the people we work with who are fantastic.
That's really cool. So we've talked a lot about the wholesale business, but we are sitting in your sandwich shop.
Yes.
It was the original goal of everything.
Yes.
Now, when you were, full steam wholesale, were you ever like, this is good enough, I don't need to do the sandwich shop?
I always wanted to do this.
Yeah.
I always wanted to get back to it. And it was always something like, all right, we're taking a detour here down the wholesale road. And we'll get back to what we wanted to do in the beginning, but this is going really well. And I feel like we've got a good handle on it. Let's keep going. Let's see what happens. So once we got in that space and things were starting to grow at an exponential rate, and we're like, wow, this is really humming. Just, sort of. And I also had some people to jump in for me. So I wasn't baking every day, which is a whole other component of it just makes you, very, very tired. If you're trying to operate in both worlds, in the 9 to 5 world, but then also the 2 a.m. to noon world.
Yeah.
You won't make it.
You got to pick one.
You got to pick one at a certain point. And you can ask my wife, I got Bell's palsy 4 times.
Jeez.
Half my face stopped working.
Oh my
It was
goodness.
just like an incredibly stressful, difficult, exhausting time that ultimately had to break, where I had to be like, okay, you are now the head baker.
Yeah.
You are running the bakery. I'm here if you need me. I will still do the hardest bake on Sunday morning as long as I can. And go work the farmer's market for a number of years after the bakery was being run by other head bakers. But yeah, it was a harrowing, difficult time. I'm thankful for, at that time, my girlfriend, now my wife, for, doing everything that she did to help buoy me through this, because it was and remains gnarly. But
was it difficult to step away?
So difficult.
Yeah.
It's still difficult. I appreciate you asking about, like, I always feel like a fraud. That's just sort of my status, my general status quo for myself is like, I'm an anxious person. I have a lot of worries. I have a lot of fears about not doing things right, or not making sure, like I said earlier, that people are happy about what we're doing, that everyone is affected positively. And I know now at this scale that I can't do that. There will be people who don't like what we do. There will be people who do not have a good experience in some of our places. That's okay. It's not for everybody, but I feel that acutely internally, and it stays with me. And I still, like, in the middle of the night, will wake up thinking about some interaction I had with some customer that they'll never think about again for the rest of their life, but it lives on within me. So, it was very hard for me to step away from baking, because if I step away from being the baker, I'm a fraud. I am no longer a representative of my own business. I am just some guy who's along for the ride, which is not anywhere near the truth. No. And it's not rational, but those are the thoughts that come into my mind.
For sure.
And everybody kind of has that to some level, I'm sure. Or I would hope that everybody,
dude,
I think it's a positive thing.
Here talking to you on a podcast. Trust me, it's
a good thing. If you don't have that, you don't have humility. If you don't have that, you don't have self-awareness. So, that is an important part of this. And that's also why I think anxiety, to some degree, and I've talked about this before, has been an incredibly helpful thing in this process, because I am just worrying about everything all the time. Yeah. It's debilitating, but you surround yourself with great people and it helps to ease that. But yeah, it's really about how can we think of everything that's going to go wrong and try to preempt that by creating tighter guardrails. And if it does go wrong, let's narrow it down, because we saw what can happen. And then you have a system where it never happens again.
Well, it's debilitating if you don't take steps to manage it.
Correct. Yeah. But sometimes it's so overwhelming that it locks you in, and it makes it very hard to take a step forward in any direction. Especially, at this point, I feel like I have a pretty good handle on my bakery. I know how we operate the bakery that we built. And it may not be like how other bakeries operate. We try to do it as intelligently as possible. And, but the restaurants are a whole new ballgame 2.5 years in and 6 months in for the pizza place, that require a whole new set of skills and a whole new set of, a wider understanding of how these types of businesses operate. They're way more dynamic. Yeah. They're way faster paced. It's way more customers. It's from 0 to however many customers come through here every day.
And this is a first gen space, so that came with its own.
Yeah, we built it from scratch, and that was something I hope to never do again. But ultimately is allowed us to kind of create our own vibe in here to a T, the way that we wanted, because it was literally there was nothing in here. It was an empty space. But yeah, it's I kind of forgot where we started, but yeah.
Hey, that means we're having a good conversation.
It also means that my son slept for 45 minutes total last night, and I am a zombie. Yeah.
No, I was basically just wondering, like, the transition from the wholesale to now being customer facing. Yeah. What's been sort of, obviously there's a million changes, as you just alluded to, but what's sort of the biggest one that has been maybe the hardest to become accustomed to?
Honestly, operationally, I understand a bakery. I know, like, I always use this analogy of that the bakery is sort of like a big tanker.
Yeah.
It moves a little bit slower than a smaller, more nimble boat, and it rises and falls very slowly, but it generally stays above water, and it's heavier. It's a bigger mass to move. That's the wholesale bakery. Our accounts don't place orders daily. They have weekly pars that are set in stone. Oh. If they don't change them, it's just there. You know what you're making from day to day. The restaurant, no matter what you try to plan for, you have no idea what's going to happen.
Yeah.
You could have a day that for no explicable reason is 10% lower or higher sales than your last week or last year.
Yeah.
So you have to be nimble and have to prepare for that in a way that the bakery doesn't. The bakery knows a lot more ahead of what is going to happen. The bakery is making bread is very difficult. You have to have a very fixed system when all the variables are changing, so it makes it challenging. In here, it's just so much more dynamic, so much crazier to manage, so many more humans. It's about the same number of people. My employees here are the same. It's about 50 people here and 50 people at the bakery, but you have, say 30 on a day here plus 60, customers.
Yeah.
When you engage with customers, that's a whole other game as well.
For sure.
And I remember the first 6 months I was on the floor every day here working and, learning the ins and outs, trying to make operational changes, talking to customers, figuring out what staff is working, what's not, all of that stuff. It was very, very hard for me to not be overly protective of my staff when people were insane. And they are at Open. And we discovered that in an even more acute way at Pizza when we opened up there.
Don't worry. I'm going to ask you about the pizza heads.
Oh, yeah. It's intense. Everyone, especially things like burgers and pizza, everyone has their very, very strict rules for what it's supposed to be. I mean, even here with an Italian, we put mustard on the Italian. Everyone freaks out about there being mustard on the Italian.
Which is funny because Nico Rock Deli does the same thing.
I know, but it doesn't matter. And I get it doesn't matter. It's just about what people want to focus on. And restaurants are not meant to deliver on everyone's individual hopes and dreams. It's supposed to be our vision of what works. If you don't like it, just don't go back. You don't have to shit on people's jobs where like everyone who works in hospitality's job is precarious to begin with. Why do people feel the compulsion to go in public spaces and I'm not talking about professionals. Yeah. But seriously, I want to have a distinction there because it's important to note. I'm talking about just random people who feel like a restaurant has wronged them if they didn't like something. And it's like, no, you just didn't like it, or they had a bad day, or something went wrong, and we're human beings. So that side of things hits me really hard because I feel very responsible and protective of everybody who works with us.
Yeah.
And when customers do that, it's very hard for me to not want to stand in and I thirst for it. I want to be there, but I also don't do it now because it's not worth it. What's the point?
I don't know, dude. I respect the hell out of that. I have had interactions with restaurateurs where I take issue with something or somebody takes issue with something. They throw their employees under the bus. They're like, this employee is my worst one. They always,
please come back, give me another chance.
Yes, exactly. I love that you stand by your people. You know what I mean? Even if I'm sure mistakes happen.
But they're the ones who are stepping in when I can't. If I could do every job here, I would do that, but I can't. And I need them to uphold the standards and to, show up to work and to do all the things they need to do. And for that, they deserve respect.
Yeah.
And also to be treated like human beings.
For sure.
Where in this world, we are all being subject to being treated like less and less of the humans we are.
Yeah.
We have to do more to remember that even if you had an upsetting experience at a restaurant, it's because of humans. No one's doing anything to you. If there was a problem, go somewhere else next time. I'm sure they would be thrilled if you did that and didn't come back,
Yeah, guys, guess what? Not everybody wants your business to do.
Right.
Let's move over to pizza. So there's actually a great podcast that Andy did with friend of the pod, Steve Dolinsky, on Pizza City Fest, where you guys really get in the weeds on the type of
details,
pizza, the doughs. I'm a nerd about that stuff, but I don't want to lose half our audience right now. So go listen to Pizza City Fest if that's your thing. But I just wanted to learn, big picture, why pizza? Because this is, to me, the most difficult arena to enter.
Yeah.
If you're someone who is a little sensitive about what people have to say, it's kind of a bizarre thing to do.
I didn't realize, all of the things that we touch, bread, sandwiches, pastry, everything, is something that people have strong opinions about. Pizza was a whole other level, also just because we exist already. And I think that was the biggest component of why our open was so intense, was because people this is 5 minutes from the Glassell Park restaurant is the pizza place. Yeah. They know who we are. It says Bub and Grandma's on the top. They're coming expecting the same experience they have here day one. and they're all coming at the same time. So, and of course everything breaks and everything goes wrong. And my son is born the week after the pizza place opens, and we had to be in the NICU for 2 weeks in Long Beach, and we're nowhere near here. It was a total nightmare. And no one knows that, of course. And I'm not trying to say that for some, feel bad for me or whatever, feel bad for my son or my wife. I'm just saying it to illustrate that, like, nobody has any fucking clue what's going on with anybody else at any given moment. And everyone should be treated like something crazy is going on at any given moment, and given that space and that respect. And pizza people do not feel similarly. They are just like, there's not enough char for New Haven, or like, this is too burnt, or like, this is too X. And I get it. Everyone is like passionate about their local pizza that they grew up with and want exactly that. I'm not trying to do a mirror of your childhood. I'm trying to do a mirror of my childhood and the things that are interesting for me that I think people will like. And I think people will like New Haven, New York, and New Jersey is not much different.
My co-host says Jersey is the best pizza in the world.
I mean, there are fantastic places, and I feel like I grew up in the middle of a lot. I grew up with Jews and Italians. Yeah. Like, those are the people that I grew up with. And they all have very, very specific tastes and very, very just a narrow focus on what things should be. And that is awesome. I'm all about it. And that's why I'm passionate about it as an adult, is because I was presented with something, an Italian sandwich, a slice of pizza as a child that was like, this is what it's supposed to be. And you're like, for the rest of your life, that is what it's supposed to be. It's the image I have in my mind. And that's what I follow. That's why our turkey trot sandwich is cut into triangles, because of the Milburn Deli in New Jersey.
Wow.
Like, that is the whole thing.
I love your turkey trot sandwich.
Thank you. It's my favorite sandwich too.
Is that right?
Russian. Yeah.
Genius move.
Which is really what in New Jersey they would call a Joe. Sloppy Joe, or a Joe in New Jersey, is the format of like, sliced bread, a meat, a cheese, and then slaw or and Russian. Like, that is the format. You can sub in anything else out of that you want. You can put it on rye, you can put it on wheat, whatever. But that was my archetypical sandwich as a child. Yeah. And it is now called turkey trot, which is a different sandwich from the Milburn Deli, but I love that name, so we used it anyway.
It's a great
but it's reference to that
one. That's the one. The thing that I liked about Bub and Grandma's Pizza is that I had it when it first opened. I lived right behind there.
Yeah.
And I noticed I liked it the first time. I got the bolognese pie, which, by the way,
I like
genius
that one.
topping. I haven't seen that too many other
all
places.
Jeff Whitaker. He's our chef up there. He's super, super great.
Jeff Whitaker, evil genius, because that's a really good one. But I went back in early January, which was what, 3 or 4 months after?
Yeah.
No, I won't say completely different pizza.
No,
but a different pizza.
Yeah, I mean, this is also a problem. Like, I have total faith in my team and everybody who works there, but at opening, when it's so intense and so overwhelmingly busy, and also the fact that we mix our dough off-site. So we're making the dough at the bakery, and then it gets delivered to the pizza place. So that creates some more complicated, rhythmic things that need to happen, because the dough is alive. For sure. The dough is fermenting. You don't have as much temperature control as you normally would if it was just sitting in the walk-in, obviously. So there were a lot of factors that needed to be addressed once we were live. Like, we did friends and family, we did sort of like a creep up kind of approach to getting going. But of course, shortly after we open, I'm out of the commission because I have to go live in Long Beach in a shitty hotel across from a hospital for 2 weeks. He's fine, by the way, for anybody wondering. He's good. Totally healthy.
I assume that because he didn't sleep.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah,
sounds like a healthy kid.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's doing good. What up, Big Lou? That's his name.
Big Lou.
Lou, yeah, Louie. Yeah. So that presented some operational difficulties that took us some time to resolve. I'm not going to say that we had perfect pizza out of the gates. We certainly did not. And when we didn't have the luxury of being an unknown. So on day one, doors were blown off. Yeah. And we got absolutely crushed in a way that I've never been crushed before. And I was there for that and then gone. So when there was time to resolve some of the issues that needed to be resolved, I was not on site and I was not available. So it made things difficult. We got there, but it took time. Yeah. So now I feel like we're making the best pizza we've made, and I'm not going to stop developing it. It's going to consistently change for the better and refine, but it is what we wanted it to be in the beginning, basically come December, maybe it took 2 months, but yeah, that is why it changed. And now we're going through the same process with Grandma, where we started Grandma pies. We think they're great, but there's still optimization that happens once you get into the rhythm. You can't, this is one of the things about opening a restaurant. You're just fucking diving. You just dive head first. Hope there's water in the pool. And there wasn't water in the pool when we started. It was gnarly. And we managed to, through our great team and just, pounding the pavement and digging in, get to a place where now we have control over what we're doing, completely happy with the pies. There's still obviously things that go wrong all the time, as they tend to do. But we are in much better control over things. And
what I really admire about you, Andy, a lot of things I admire about you, but one thing is that you never seem to let fear get in your way. Like, it seems to be like you kind of like,
as far as you know.
As far as I know, I'm sure there's shit behind the scenes.
No, of course.
What I mean is like fear of failure. I mean, like, you kind of are okay with not being an expert on something before you dive into it. Yeah. And that to me speaks of some element of courage. Where does that come from?
That's interesting. I mean, I would say that I have, like, this follows a trend with my programming, like I have always taken that dive into other areas that are less consequential than like starting a business and needing to be profitable and pay your employees and all that stuff. But like, I get obsessed with things. So that's kind of what happened with the bread making, even though it wasn't fully, about starting a bread bakery. I still got obsessed with it, and I still did it every day. Yeah. Because if I didn't do it every day, I wouldn't see improvement. I wouldn't get better. There's a million other things like that, like collecting records, or like, film, or like, there's things that I just dive headfirst into, and I can't stop until I have satiated myself. For sure. So this was that. But then once I was satiated, it kept going. Yeah. So it wasn't that I couldn't stop. So once you're in it, you just got to kind of go. And the fear is there, but you don't have a chance to have to reckon with it, because you got to bake bread the next day. Yeah. That I think is a big part of why this evolved in the way that it did, because the wholesale bakery is just a base note for the whole thing. And as long as the base note is there and the pulse is pulsing, we're operating. And I gotta be the guy, and I gotta be there and figure out what we're going to do and set up new systems and refine them and make them so that I don't necessarily have to be a part of them, so we can move on to the next thing. And it sort of negates fear, because you just don't have a choice. I'm so immersed now. And that is what's happening now at this level too. It's overwhelming every day. But I wouldn't have it any other way. Yeah.
Super fitting that like sentimental piano starts while you're giving this beautiful movie.
We should say, just for clarity, our piano tuner is here tuning our piano for our jazz nights.
So that's why I fucking like beautiful doing these in the restaurants. Yeah. It's like, I love the background noise. Sometimes it's just like the clanging of forks. Sometimes it's people. Sometimes it's piano being tuned.
Yeah. You never know. Sorry for double booking.
Two more questions for you. One is, doesn't sound like you're going to be the next La Brea Bakery or the next even Tartine, because you said you don't want to be in Whole Foods. What is the long-term vision for B&G's?
That's a very good question. We're at like a pivotal point right now of determining what it is that we want this to be. A lot of people want it to be certain things that are not necessarily what I want it to be, which involves like massive expansion and lots of other things. And for me, it's more about optimizing what we have than it is about like taking over the world. That would be a nightmare for me. Just like, it's already a nightmare. It's not a nightmare. It's just like the fact that anybody would know who I am, just whether my name or whatever is crazy, is horrifying to me. Like, but I cherish my anonymity.
It's really funny.
But I also, can't say for sure what it's going to be. I know that we have to open the dining room at the pizza place. That's priority one at the moment. We have some refinement to do here. And then the bakery's lease term is up in September 27th. So we have to figure out whether we're going to stay or we're going to go. So those are the immediate things. I feel like one of these could exist on the west side or in the valley.
Ooh.
Something like that.
Okay.
Do I absolutely think that's a necessity? Of course not. If we can get these businesses as they stand, and this restaurant has been hit the hardest of all of our businesses, from pandemic to fires to everything that's happened over the however many years. It took us 3 years to open this place and build it out. Our lease was 2 months before the pandemic hit. We expand. It's just the ebb and flow of this business is so hard. We raised some capital, opened a commissary around the corner that we were going to, this is perfect music for my sad story. But we were going to grow a catering department and blow that out because we don't have any more space here. Yeah. We moved in December of 2024, January 2025 was the fires, and it ate up all the capital that we just raised and made our timeline too short, and we just had to close it. So that's the reality, is a lot of the things that affect an already excruciatingly small margin business as in food service are things that are out of my control.
Yeah.
And you have to be nimble and you have to stay positive and stay focused and try to get through it. And you can see by the number of closures in Los Angeles how hard it is to operate here. It's incredibly difficult. And if anybody is operating profitably right now, I am, they deserve a lot of credit in the restaurant realm. Yeah. It's very difficult. But I'm so thankful that what we've built has connected with people and that they keep coming here. It makes me feel great that we've built something that resonates with this community here. And I think we are mostly supported by the community here, not by, the weekends are more split between Glassell Park East Side folks and folks traveling to come try us. Sure. But for the most part, the reason why we succeed here, or why we've been here for 3 years, is the folks who live right here. And, it's great to not only have that community coming in, but also to be a part of it. I've lived here for 16 years. Yeah. I see the dumb shit that, is being done to the neighborhood. And we want to be something that's of value to folks and actually enhances their life, as opposed to just like dropping my development bomb on people. That's not what we're here for. So that would be a hindrance to my expansion, is just making sure that we'll never do anything unless it's going to be a value of the community that we're entering. And if we're going to try and put something on the West Side or in the Valley, I need to know what's going on there. I'm not just going to listen to a broker tell me like, oh, this is the spot and it's a good deal or whatever. No, it needs to be meaningful. It needs to be something that's not just like, a row of businesses that are hip or whatever. It has to be meaningful.
Well, because that can go south real quick.
Immediately. Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, I'm not in this. I don't want to make money for myself unless it's making money for everybody who's involved here. Yeah. Like it has to work on all fronts.
So we're not going to see Bub and Grandma's Las Vegas?
Yeah, it's been talked about, not talked about. Someone, the broker brought it up and I was like, that will never occur. Yeah. Ever. Yeah.
Well, hey, as a community member myself,
yes.
I want to say thank you. Also, you should know that when my parents came to visit from Switzerland, I play pickup soccer here at Glassell Park.
Hell yeah.
With Saturdays.
Yeah.
And my dad played soccer for the first time in 10 years with me. And then
Amazing.
Afterwards, him, my mom, and I came and got a cinnamon roll here, man. So
hell yeah, that's great. That sounds like a good day.
It was a fantastic.
And day. If the Swiss are digging our pastries, then I feel good. Did you say Switzerland?
Italians.
Oh, Swiss Italian that's intense. Mountain people, they know their pastries.
They do. My dad's from Naples too. And they know
nice.
They know their pastries.
I love me some Naples, man.
Last question we ask all our guests.
Shoot.
First, let me say you've been extremely generous with your time.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
What are 3 LA restaurants you're loving right now?
As I said, I have a 6-month-old. So we are limited in our, going out. My parents were just here, and my wife and I went to our 10-year anniversary at Musso's, which is 9 years in a row at Musso's.
No way.
Yeah, we go every year for our anniversary.
Do they have the Caden booth there yet?
We get the Orson Welles booth is what we request. It's like a double wide because he was double wide. So we get some extra room, but it was great. Yeah, I mean, go to Musso's expecting the greatest culinary experience in the world, but the experience itself is always perfect. I love it there. That's my comfort place. And then beyond that, we're just SGV people. Like everything that I want to eat is in the San Gabriel Valley. So we go to Hui Tu Chang all the time, which is one of my favorite dumpling spots. What else do we get? We get Saigon Eden or Golden Deli. Yeah. That's actually Pho District is the new favorite at the moment.
I love that.
But those tree. Yeah. Oh, so good. Yeah. It's more chicken flavor. It's just more rich.
So you get it bones or no bones?
Bones are good. You just end up with more flavor that way. Depends on the day. I've gotten both. You never know. But yeah, mostly out there, I feel like we Other than that, I eat at the Hermosillo probably 3 times a week.
Great
And also,
smash burger.
great smash burger, under discussed, but really fantastic food and a limited menu and great beer.
Great beer.
The owner is a good bud of mine. And feel like, just the fact that I have a kid now, it's a place that we can go and sit outside and have beer. And
Hermosillo's like
it's essential.
Cheese thing.
Oh yeah, it's wild.
Yeah.
It's wild. I mean, good for them. Good for business.
Yeah.
I assume that when we open the dining room, this is kind of what we're thinking about for the pizza place. Should be the same, group. It's families with kids and folks who want to drink good beer and wine. So that's what we're going to try and, appeal to as well. And we got Common Space Brewery coming in across the street. It's all happening.
Hermosillo's fried pickles got me through the pandemic.
Yep.
Andy, thanks again, man. This was
Thanks,
awesome.
Luca. It's my pleasure.
Congratulations on all your success.
Thank you.
And can't wait to see Bub and Grandma's Las Vegas.
Oh, God. Don't hold on too long for that. Oh, man.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the LA Food Podcast. Thanks to our guests for making the time for us. As always, we'll be back with another epic episode next week, but if you're looking for me in the meantime, you can find me on TikTok, Instagram, Thread, YouTube, even our website at the LA Countdown. You can also find us on Instagram at It's Acquired Taste and at acquiredtastemedia.com. If you like what you heard here today, dear listener, please consider going to wherever you listen to podcasts and leave us a 5-star rating or review, even a follow. That really helps us. It means the world to us. Thank you so much in advance.